Hello, hello, hello. We are live. This is the Full Send Half Mast podcast. My name is Jay,
And I'm Tom.
and we are back. Today is Thursday, March 30th. Today we've got some races coming up in the Formula One world, NASCAR, and multiple tracks. We also have IndyCar coming back. We're going to talk about the Hendrick appeals and what to expect with colleague. Also, going to talk about some other news relating to drivers making announcements and an injury report. We'll go over the point standings, how they've changed since the Hendrick Motorsports penalty has been appealed. And then we'll also go over some of our fantasy picks for this weekend, as well as our favorite segment, the Radioactive of the Week, which is pretty spicy this week. So with that, we'll just jump straight into the news. Announced earlier today, Jade Avesian will be making starts in 2024 in NASCAR. Her debut in the ARCA West Series. She ran the Chili Bowl this year, and she was one of the two females in that series to run. She's young and she's got a lot of talent, so that'll be interesting to see where that leads. Nothing announced on tracks or what team she'll be running for, but it was announced that she will be making a NASCAR debut.
Yeah, she was one of the two females to ever run the Chili Main. And so I think that we could probably expect a lot out of her. I hope she gets with a good team, and I hope that we can see some results out of her as well.
Yeah, I think she has a lot of talent. It'll be interesting to see where this leads in her NASCAR career. Also, Josh Perchetta, owner of Big Machine Racing, the 48 car with Parker Kligerman, the Xfinity Series, he was hospitalized after an incident in a Trans Am wreck at Road Atlanta. There wasn't a whole lot to find out early on. They didn't release a lot of news, but apparently he's doing all right. And so that's good news out of that stable. Also this week, Suarez gets fined $50,000 for his incident with Alex Bowman and Ross Chastain post-race at COTA. I personally think this penalty was a little too light. You just can't be using your vehicle as a weapon on pit road when there's actual people walking around. $50,000 is just not enough of a penalty, in my opinion. This should have been maybe put on probation or something to that effect. But NASCAR and their rules just don't seem fair or even justified or consistent. So, I mean, what's your opinion on this one?
I think it's especially bad that Suarez was going after the wrong people in the first place, and his lack of judgment just in that area alone is something to be talked about. But the $50,000, I think a points fine and the $50,000 would have been adequate. I don't think that's. I think $50,000 nowadays is just kind of slap on the wrist, to be honest with you. I don't think that it's gonna matter much. They're just gonna take this 50,000 fine and they're just gonna say, here, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's go on to next week. It's not gonna be a hurt to them.
No, it's basically chump change for a team like Trackhouse and Daniel Suarez, who's making a ton of money. Yeah. So, yeah, you're really not penalizing him, and this could have been much, much worse. They're just lucky that there wasn't a bunch of people up on pit road at that time yet for this to be worse. So, I guess just back to NASCAR and their inconsistencies, and which leads us right into our next point. NASCAR announced, or the appeals panel had given Hendrick Motorsports their playoff points, their owner points, and their championship points back after the penalty that was issued via NASCAR. They also instated keep the fines and the suspensions on the crew chiefs. So they're still going to be financially hurt, and they're still going to be without their crew chiefs for the next 2 weeks, I believe. But more importantly, they get their points back, and I think that's ultimately what they wanted in the end, because to win a championship, especially being dug into that deep of a hole as we saw with Larson, was just detrimental to that team. And so I think them getting their points back is a huge win for them, but a big kind of L for NASCAR in their eyes. Not in my eyes. I personally predicted this is how it would go, but it's interesting to see where that went. Do you have any comments on that situation?
Yeah, so obviously the appeals panel had all of the evidence that they needed in order to make this judgment. So probably what we saw was a overreaction by NASCAR and a proper fine by the appeals panel. And so with that being said, there's really well, I'm also, just assuming. I don't really know what happened there, but um I'd like to think that there was no leeway given to Hendrick, and they were actually acting on real terms when they were putting on those louvers. And if Hendrick was given this much lenience, given the evidence, then we could probably suspect Colleague to be in the same boat as well moving forward. So, with the assumption that the appeals panel found no evidence of them tampering with it, and it was just a quality control issue on the manufacture of the louvers, then yeah, I agree with it. I think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think it's appropriate at all, because if it's a QC issue, then that's on the manufacturer. But you can't really be blaming a company for quality control issues of a third party vendor. But that's just my opinion. Other than that, the penalty is adequate.
Right. So you were predicting pretty much the same thing to happen with Colleague, that they get their points back, fine stays, suspension on the crew chief stays. Is that kind of where we're at here?
I mean, I'd like to assume that. I don't know if they actually did manipulate these louvers to their benefit, but to have five cars louvers confiscated in one weekend kind of points in the direction of possibly a quality control issue on the third party vendor.
Well, especially when they're all of the same manufacturer, so that would make a lot more sense to think it's definitely the third party issue here.
Yeah, and I don't think Colleague and Hendrick have a alliance, do they?
I'm not actually sure on that one. I don't think so. If I was to guess,
so that even makes it. See, that even makes it more possible that it was a QC issue on the third party vendor. If they were on the same team, then possibly like they were, convoluting or and making these decisions together. But if they don't even have an alliance of any sort, then it's really easy to point at the vendor.
Right, especially with the supply chain issues and the high demand for these parts.
And workers, honestly, because it's not easy making those parts.
No, not at all. So yeah, interesting front there with that penalty. We'll just wait for Colleague. They'll be heard next Wednesday. Also, I guess we'll kind of dive into the point standings that have changed now with this ruling. Alex Bowman now takes over the points lead once again. He is currently 15 points ahead of Ross Chastain, who's in second. 9 points ahead of William Byron, who's moved all the way up to third with those 2 wins. And he's also 34 points ahead of Kyle Busch in fourth. Joey Logano and Kevin Harvick are tied for fifth, 40 points back. Notables. Excuse me. Denny Hamlin is now 14th in points. He's only 17 points above the cut line. Buescher is now 16th. He's 13 points above the cut line. You have Suarez on the outside looking in, 17th, 13 points below the cut line to Buescher. And then LaJoie moved from 15th in points all the way down to 18th in points, 18 back. So this hurts them. Now that the 3 Hendrick drivers have now all moved pretty solidly into the top 16 in points. So this changes the playoff perspective now. So now the chances for LaJoie to make a playoff run here is looking a lot more of a steep climb, but the consistency's been there. So I guess we could just see if they can maintain the pace that they've started this season out on.
Yeah, I don't think, I think I said it last podcast. I don't think it's out of the realm to see that 7 in the victory lane. With how strong he's been, with some super speedways coming up, and possibly some other tracks where it's going to be super speedway-esque. We just might see him in victory lane. We never know. I mean, it's most unpredictable racing right now in the whole world is the Cup Series. So.
Oh, very much so. I guess the biggest winner out of all of this would have been Kyle Larson. He was 27th in
Yeah.
points, 69 below the cut line prior to this overruling. That was a steep climb for Larson, especially with the consistency and the luck he's had so far this year. It looked like he was just digging himself deeper in that hole. So this moves him all the way up to 9th in points. So now he's looking real good for making the playoffs now. Not, well, barring a win. If he was stuck in 27th, he would have been fine anyway. But, I mean, just being in points in general, that helped out a ton.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And then this week we also got an announcement that Josh Williams, that team also got sponsorship from Parking Guidance Systems. I mean, how ironic, right? He's like, parks on the front stretch and a parking company decides to sponsor him. It's just
I say take that L, NASCAR.
I mean, honestly,
because I mean, he got, like I said, when it happened, I said he's going to get so much publicity out of it. It doesn't matter if he's going to get a one race suspension. He will be on top. And here we are. We're discussing brand new sponsorship coming into NASCAR because of what they did to Josh Williams. So, L NASCAR, W Josh Williams, W Parking Guidance Systems. Thank you for coming into the sport. Thank you for supporting low-tier teams, and I hope you stay for a long time because that's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is awesome, especially the fact that they're not just going to be on Josh Williams' car. They're going to be on his teammate's car as well, the team car.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
It's a big announcement for that team. They're taking this as a win, even though they got hurt with the one-race suspension. And with that being said, I would like to draw a similarity or a comparison to this Josh Williams sponsorship news to kind of what happened to Brandon Brown at Talladega 2 years ago, where out of no doing of his own, just out of pure circumstance, the NBC reporter kind of put him on blast with the whole "Let's go Brandon" chant. At this point, it kind of put Brandon Brown in a bad light with the entire world. I mean, he had the world against him. Could not find sponsorship prior to that. He had his breakthrough moment, gets his first career win at Talladega. Huge moment. It should have been about that. It should have been about that big moment for him, and it wasn't. And kind of like Josh Williams, embracing what happened. You can't hide from it. You just kind of have to embrace it, right? Josh Williams embraces it, brings on new sponsorship. Brandon Brown embraced it, brought on new sponsorship. And NASCAR basically told him that your sponsorship is not adequate for our sport when the LGB coin. And essentially that's led to the shutdown of his team, Brandon Built Motorsport. So it's unfortunate that his career had to come to an end out of circumstances out of his control.
Yep. And, it's not the first time that a cryptocurrency came into NASCAR for a sponsorship deal. And so they're obviously... NASCAR wasn't happy with why the cryptocurrency was made, but that's not the point. The point is that, again, NASCAR with the L losing drivers because of their rulings. I don't know. I'd be not surprised if NASCAR came out and was like, "Hey, Josh Williams, that parking guidance system sponsorship you have, yeah, it can't happen. It can't happen." Yeah. So I don't know. I it's throwing me through a loop. I don't even know. It's like we're watching the FIA with Michael Massey a couple years ago, and it turning into that snowball of disaster, as some may call it. So I don't know. I really hate that they did that to Brandon Brown, and he doesn't even race anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get the sponsorship, he didn't get the monies secured, and he ultimately had to shut down and sell his equipment because he just couldn't get sponsorship because of the chant that was chanted at Talladega. That wasn't even his doing. So again, a big NASCAR L there.
Right. I mean, NASCAR shouldn't have say in people's sponsorship as long as it's not illegal. If it's legal and it can be put on your car, I think they should allow all new sponsors to come into the sport. I mean, regardless.
I don't see an issue with any of it.
I don't either.
I think if a company wants to pump money into NASCAR, let them pump money.
Yeah.
What's the downside to it at all? I mean, it's just to me, it's bass backwards on what they want to do there, and I just don't understand it. Let's be honest, I'm not the smartest dude here at all. I mean, but more money, mo better, right?
Yeah.
it's that
Money
simple.
fixes everything.
So
But
that's really all I got to say about that.
yeah, that's all I've got to say about that too. Just a tough scenario for, I mean, everybody involved with the Brandon Built Motorsports end of that. We wish him luck. We'd love to see him back in NASCAR, or at least have another chance. And we'll go back to where we were just talking about. Apologize for the inconvenience. This weekend we have the Australian Grand Prix on Saturday. It's going to be one of those races that you mentioned they haven't raced in Australia in a couple of years. So, I guess we'll just get into what to expect, favorites, dark horses, good finishes, podiums. What are you kind of expecting from this race?
Yeah, so I actually got some cool information. Max Verstappen hasn't finished on the podium at this race since 2019. So and they've had a lot of reliability issues leading up to the end of the race, and them not being able to secure good finishes. And so I think though that this year they have a lot better reliability. I think that Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, they're going to be fighting for the top again. I don't see any other reason why some reliability issues might take them out. They've had some very strong cars in the first couple races this season, and I don't really see anybody challenging the Red Bulls. The Red Bulls are going to go 1-2, and it's either going to be between Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen, or it's either going to be Sergio winning or Max winning. I think that Ferrari, they're going to have to up their game reliability wise. Performance wise, not so much. They're still not as fast as the Red Bull. I think that they've got some good speed. They're going to be able to fill that third place spot at the end of the race. If not, or if somehow Ferrari just screws it up, which they're known to do, I think that Fernando Alonso with Aston Martin is going to finish third. And I think that that's an absolute possibility. I think that Alonso can secure his third podium in a row to start out the season. And I don't think there's really any other team. I don't think Mercedes is there still. I think that Ferrari just, again, behind the ball. It's really quite disheartening to see it year after year after year just not being there. But I think that they're better than Mercedes this year if they can get their reliability back on par with what it needs to be. Mercedes, obviously, in their slump, I don't think they're faster than Ferrari. I think we're going to see them behind the pack. I think that possibly Lance Stroll can get up, excuse me, get up there and do something. It's just all open. So crazy because we just haven't seen this type of performance out of other teams in the past, probably the past 10 years, really, since the F1 hybrid era started. So there's lots of unknowns still. We're seeing some really good teams come in and have some fast cars and doing a good job finishing the race. And yeah, I think it's going to be a good race. I think Ferrari's going to be the one to watch to secure that podium, and Aston's going to be fun to watch as well, trying to secure that podium as well. And yeah, that's my race analysis for this weekend with the F1 team or F1 race.
Okay. You kind of beat me to it with the whole Lance Stroll running good here. I think this weekend the storylines I believe are going to be Perez Verstappen for the win. I think whoever qualifies better, I think is going to win this race. Whoever gets through turn one cleanly is going to check out, and they're going to win, whether it's Verstappen or Perez. I think Aston Martin's going to finish out on the podium, and I think that it's Lance Stroll and that team. They've probably figured out a lot of the reliability issues that they've had to start the season. I think they're going to run right there with his teammate Fernando, and I think Fernando's going to actually get the podium, and Stroll I think will be right there in fourth. Mercedes and Ferrari are just kind of just behind those two teams right now. It could be anybody for the 5 through 8 spot, whatever you would predict. I think the other storyline here is Haas F1. Can they back up their points finish from the last race in Saudi Arabia? I think it's very likely. And I think it would be a great indicator to see if they actually do have pace with that 10th place last point position. And then also, do we see anything out of McLaren this week? Are they going to be a little faster than they have been? Are they going to move up a couple spots on the grid in the finish of this? And I think it's going to be a phenomenal race. I'm really excited to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, I'm also really excited for Haas as well. I think their only challenges though is that they have to pass Alpine and Williams. If they can get that done, which I still believe Pierre Gasly is the best F1 driver on the grid right now. I mean, if they can do it, they're going to be able to secure some points. We're going to have to see some. We're going to have to see some shenanigans happen. I believe. I really hope that they can bring, a couple upgrades in the next two races, or after the next two races to get that Haas machine moving. But I think that they're going to have a lot of things go right in order to secure those points positions. And I think right now Alpine is winning the midfield battle. So that's pretty cool. I think Alpine is a French race team, right? They've got Pierre Gasly, who's French, and Esteban Ocon, who's French. So they're like pretty much whole French lineup there. And so that's just a little backstory. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, I think that's Haas has their work cut out for them. And Alpine is going to be just as strong as they have been.
All right. Now, later in the afternoon on Saturday, we have the Truck Series SpeedyCash.com 250 at Texas Motor Speedway. This is a doubleheader with IndyCar this weekend. Seen it in the past. Awesome weekend for both series to be shined on the same track back-to-back days. Truck race this weekend. I think my favorite for this race is Christian Eckes. He showed a lot of speed on 1.5 miles over the past couple of years, and he's currently the points leader. He's been on a hot streak as of late. I would take Christian Eckes to win the race. Dark horse, I would say right now, I would put the ThorSport trucks kind of in that dark horse range. They're part of the Ford banner. They're just not as fast, and I think you could see someone like Majeski or Crafton maybe win a race like this as a dark horse. I think it's going to be kind of a strung out race the way the Texas is with the repave. It's not a great track, but I think that you will see the best trucks cycle to the front at the end of this, even with the stage cautions as they play out ruin strategy, as we've come to find out with this truck series. So that being said, I mean, what are your thoughts, your favorite dark horses, what to expect?
Yeah, I think that Stuart Friesen goes back to back, and I think that he pulls off the dubs. And I am also taking a dark horse for Ben Rhodes, and I think that he might have a breakout race. This is one of the racetracks with the Truck Series where you can actually see some good driving come out of these drivers and some urgency, really. I think it was 2018, 2017 when we saw Timothy Peters and the AM Racing guy, I forget his name, but Timothy Peters goes and running with the AM Racing guy, and they crash coming off to the green white checkered, and they're rolling down the front stretch. Some of these guys are that desperate to get a win in the Truck Series, and I think that we could experience that again on Saturday night. And I think that Friesen already has his setup made for this track that he won on last year, and I think that Ford can have a breakout race with Ben Rhodes, and they can get it done as well.
Okay. And with that being said, just an interesting point. I was listening back at the Stacking Pennies podcast with Corey LaJoy, where he had Kevin Harvick on, and he was kind of talking about his kid racing overseas and kind of some of the experiences that he's getting. And he was kind of talking about other racers coming up through the ranks, and he made a good point that a lot of the people, insiders and team owners and drivers and crews, and they don't really look to your stats from lower divisions. They don't really care about how you did in a late model or a K&N series or an ARCA series. Really, your resume starts to be built in the truck series, which I thought was very interesting and kind of makes our Haley Deegan Bust Explained video a little bit even more irrelevant than it was when we posted it, because we were counting her as a generational talent through coming up through the ranks and some of the stats that she had. But to find out that really these NASCAR insiders and owners don't even care about those stats. They're more concerned about your Xfinity and truck stats to build your resume. And you see Deegan's stats. I mean, this cannot be a good case for Deegan, especially considering that now they're finally looking at her talent and ability, not based upon what she's done in the past. So, interesting thought there. This will take us to the final race of Saturday. This will be the Toyota Care 250 at Richmond, for the Xfinity Series. Favorite start courses and what to expect. You want to give us your thoughts first?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with the obvious here, and because I think he's gonna do what he does best, and he's gonna wheel that thing to victory lane, and that is Austin Hill. Can never count this guy out. He is the hottest thing on the market today, and he is not going to do anything different than go to Richmond, do his best, try his best, work the hardest, and get that checkered flag. So Austin Hill for the dubs in the Xfinity Series. And then for a dark horse, I'm going to go with Sam Meyer. He had a fantastic run last year at the Richmond Fall Race. I think he finished third or fourth behind Kyle Busch and William Byron.
Yeah.
So I don't think we expect anything different out of him, and I think that Sam Meyer could be the guy who could take home the checkered flag or running top 5, which is absolutely needed for JRM right now. A good solid finish with Sam Meyer would work very well, pay dividends.
Okay. I guess my favorite, I'm taking Chandler Smith this weekend. This is a big weekend for him. He's making his Cup Series debut. He's got a fast car. He's with a fast team, and I think that his day is coming. With how consistent he's been, maybe the last couple of races haven't really played out to his favor with the results, but I think this weekend he finally checks the box as being a winner in the Xfinity Series and kind of solidifies himself as one of the championship frontrunners. I mean, Austin Hill's going to be tough to beat. That's a great pick on that one. And I think a dark horse. I'm gonna have to go agree with you with the junior motorsports cars. They've been not super fast to start this year. Well, Allgaier was to begin, but then they've kind of faded. And they've had a lot of team controversy and drama. But I mean, I would watch out for Josh Berry here. He's a very exceptional short track driver, and I feel like this is a track where tires wear really fast and the pace slows way down. And I feel like someone that has a lot of experience on short tracks is going to be dominant here, and I think Josh Berry might be one to watch. So that's all I have for the Xfinity Series. I don't know if you have anything else to add or...
No, but I'm really excited for that race.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Really
for this one
excited.
too. This brings us to Sunday. We have the IndyCar PPG 375 at Texas. This is the second end of the doubleheader between them and the trucks. Texas has been kind of a pretty good track over the past few years with the IndyCar series. We've had some great races there. Lots of strategy and some thrilling finishes in these races in the past. But for this weekend, my favorite, I'm taking Scott Dixon. This guy is a legend in the IndyCar series. I believe he's the all-time winner. More championships than you could count. Very exceptional on ovals. I'm taking Scott Dixon to win this race. And as a dark horse, I am going to take Pato Award to potentially get it done for Arrow McLaren. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with New Garden, and I'll tell you why. It's because Team Penske is so good at ovals. I don't know if it's from their NASCAR data. Obviously, probably not, because two completely different cars. But I mean, I think that Team Penske is a really hard team to beat when it comes to ovals. I think that with New Garden's past win experience here in Texas, he knows how to get it done, especially during the nighttime, during the cold, with the changing track conditions. I think Team Penske has it nailed down, and I would not be surprised at all if I was watching that race and saw New Garden win. I think that's just how it's gonna be. So New Garden to get the checker flag there, and for my dark horse, I'm gonna go with Di Francesco with Andretti. That guy has struggled a lot. And I think that if it's any track to come out and have a breakout, it's going to be Texas. Because go big or go home, right? And I think Dave Francesco either brings home the checker flag or he brings home the steering wheel. And I think that is this is going to be a really good career-defining race for him.
I mean, I feel like you gotta love a driver like that. That's kind of why I picked
Yes.
Pato Ward to be my dark horse, is because he's kind of that mindset too. He's fast and he's just gonna give it all he's got, or he's gonna wreck trying. And
Yeah. Yep.
there's very
And-
few people like that in the IndyCar series right now. So
Yeah.
those guys are
And
fun to
that's a
watch.
great aspect of him. I almost feel like most of these IndyCar drivers are turning into F1 drivers with how
Mhm.
lame they
Yeah.
But Pato Award is not lame. He is a feisty little dude. So I think that's pretty cool. And good luck to him this weekend too, because I'd love to see him win as well.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited for this race. IndyCar at Texas is just, we've seen just amazing finishes there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm really excited to see how this race plays out. It's going to be a lot of strategy. I don't expect a whole lot of cautions. I expect it to kind of run green for the most part. And just whoever really makes the right decision calls and was able to maintain the pace throughout the long runs is gonna be the car to beat. So it'll be very interesting to see who can pull this one off. And like you said,
Yeah.
you might see some desperate stuff out of some of these younger drivers. So it'll be fun to watch. Later on Sunday night is going to be the Toyota Owners 400 at Richmond, the Cup Series race. Very interesting race. Last year we saw Toyota kind of take the reins of this track and dominate. We've seen Truex and Hamlin run really good here. This is like a track that I would expect like a Christopher Bell to run well at, and that's kind of who I'm taking for my favorite. He's really good at short tracks. He just really can maximize the car on tracks where the tires wear fast, heavy braking zones, really high momentum tracks where you have to be patient with the throttle. He's got very high throttle control. I think a lot of that's from his dirt background, and that's why you see him and Larson really competitive on these types of tracks. And I just think this is Toyota's week, that we've kind of been waiting around and we've been seeing Ford just be terrible. We've seen Chevy dominate, and we really haven't seen bad or good from Toyota. We haven't seen, they've just been meh all year. And I feel like this is the race that they're going to break through, and you're going to see a lot of Toyotas at the front. I think Reddick will be a factor at some points, but I think it's going to be between Christopher Bell and maybe a Denny Hamlin or a Truex for the win here. And Chevys are still going to be fast. They're going to be right there, but just not as competitive. And I just don't see anything out of Ford this weekend. I'm really hesitant to take any Ford unless it's Harvick at this point. And for dark horses, there's just really, take it Toyota as the favorites. They're really kind of the dark horse of the season at this point. You don't really see a whole lot out of them at any tracks that we've been to. But I guess if I have to pick one, I'm really hesitant to say it, but I think Keselowski is a good dark horse here. You saw how fast he was last year at Bristol. He's been consistent all year. He's just hasn't maybe had the performances or the results to show it, but I think Keselowski might be one to watch for a solid top 10 finish here. And what to expect? I just expect a lot of tire wear, the pace to fall off, and I expect kind of some strategy to be played into the end of this race. And if it's anything like we've seen so far this year, it's gonna be won on a green white checker. So that's what I would expect for this race. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Hamlin to take the checker flag this weekend. Like you said, last year we just saw the Toyotas just absolutely dominate. Um, we also saw a lot of good racing out of William Byron as well last year during this race. So like you said as well, I don't think that we're not gonna see Chevrolets in the mix. Um, I I just think that Toyota has the setup down. We saw that last year. I think we are going to see the 2311 cars up there. Probably not as strong as the Gibbs cars, but they're going to have some good finishes. Hendrick's going to have some good finishes. The William Byron's going to come back. He's already has this momentum. He's going to finish in the top 10, I believe. Larson needs to have his luck turned around. He's going to finish in the top 10. Byron's going to have a great run. I hope that Josh Berry is starting to get the feel of this car and that 9 car and gets a good finish for these guys. And I just think that Toyota is going to steal the show. Just because of their past performance, I just think that, man, the Toyotas were hard to beat last year. Even Kyle Busch in his dismal season he had last year, man, was he fast at Richmond. So with that being said, with the dark horse, I'm gonna pick this specific driver just because of his dirt racing experience. This team that he races for really needs a pick me up. I think Chase Briscoe gets it done this weekend. Gets finally a good run for Stuart Haas. Finally builds some momentum. And with his dirt racing experience, close quarters, small track experience that he has, I think he goes out and posts a top 10, top 12 for this team, and hopefully get some momentum turnaround.
I mean, it's interesting that you brought up Barry. I didn't even really put 2 and 2 together with Barry running this weekend, but winning in the Xfinity, maybe gain some experience. He to run up front here. This track is a lot like Phoenix in ways, but it's a lot like Martinsville and others. So, I mean, yeah, I could see Josh Berry getting a good run out of this, and then also like what you said with Briscoe, I was thinking more Ryan Preece with his modified background. He's really good with
that's
tire wear.
honestly a great pick.
Right. And I think that I mean, Stuart Haas, I mean, they're the ultimate dark horse right now. They just haven't had the results this last few years. And I mean, if you think about their driver lineup, you got Briscoe, who's an exceptional dirt racer. He did a lot of road racing. Really kind of held the banner for him last year when they were struggling, if you take away Harvick's 2 wins. And then you look at Ryan Preece, this is his background, right? He's a short tracker. He's used to driving cars with a lot of horsepower, big tires, not a lot of traction, not a lot of grip. So, I mean, you look at them, and then Harvick. I think Harvick is another guy you got to watch out for. I think that his results are just getting better and better as the season goes along. And, I mean, he's another guy that if you get him in the right scenario, he's not going to overuse his equipment. And if he just runs the right strategy and they get put in the right position at the end of this race, he could be a guy to steal it as well. So I think experience and like being a veteran of the sport, having lots of laps on this track, and then also just having that dirt background are the 2 things that are going to play a big factor in how well you run here this weekend. So that one is Sunday. So, I mean, yeah, we got 5 different races at 3 different tracks, 5 different series. This is just going to be an exceptional weekend of racing. I think that we're going to see just amazing races, lots of highlights, an unlimited amount of things to talk about. Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm super excited. Just let it play out. We've been pretty good with our picks so far in all but the Cup Series, but the Cup Series, like you said, is just so unpredictable anymore when we got just chaos at the end of all these races with all these multiple overtime restarts and just drivers getting everything they can get, and maybe they don't have the spot for it or positioning for it. So, yeah, it'll be an interesting weekend.
It's going to be a great weekend of racing. I'm really excited for it. I almost have the same amount of hype for this weekend as I did for COTA. And I just think we're going to see some awesome racing at Richmond. We're going to see some pretty decent racing at Texas. And I'm really happy for F1 to be back too, because I thoroughly enjoy F1.
Yeah, me too. Especially this season. It's just been just a roller coaster of emotions here with the rivalry between the Red Bull guys, and then you got pretty much the battle for the end of the podium, and then you got the midfield battles, and it's been some exciting racing so far, and I think there's just even better racing to come out of the F1. IndyCar, I mean, they're back. We haven't seen them race in about a month, so this is kind of what I look at as the start of the IndyCar season, really. This is when we start getting to a more consistent schedule and start to see who's fast, and we're going to get a good mix of tracks. And I mean, that's one thing I love about the IndyCar series is the diversity of tracks they run on. It's a lot like NASCAR. They're on street courses, road courses, ovals, short ovals, big round, like D-shaped ovals. It's exciting what they do with that series.
Yeah. IndyCar is very fun to watch. They do such a great job with their track selection too. Just to add on to that, every track they go to is almost fan voted in. So IndyCar Association, the NASCAR Association needs to learn a lot off of the IndyCar companies there, and they I'm sure NASCAR can learn a lot from them.
Right.
And this is a call out to NASCAR.
Yeah, exactly. And what IndyCar does too is they don't run at a lot of the same tracks multiple times like NASCAR does. There's a lot of tracks in NASCAR that there's no reason to even run two races. IndyCar basically kind of like Formula One. They make each event its own special event. It's only going to happen once a year. And, if you want to win that race, if you lose, it's such a heartbreak because you only get one more chance at it, but it's next year. And who knows what equipment you'll be in or where your life will be in that situation. So it's like the races have way more of an importance, unlike NASCAR where they're going to race Richmond now and later on and Phoenix again. And it's just the prestige of these races goes down with the amount of times that you race per year. So,
and IndyCar does a great job. They race one time at one track, and that's it for the year. Nothing else. That's it. Good, better luck next year. Right. Yeah, better luck next year.
So, with that being said, I think we've got a new segment we want to go over here. Me and Tom are kind of part of the fantasy league. It's something that if any viewers want to join or have been going on, we can maybe make accommodations for you to join here in the future. But our NASCAR Fantasy Live, every week you essentially pick 5 drivers, a garage driver, and then you pick 4 matchups between 2 drivers, going head to head, who you think is going to have a better finish, and they ultimately calculate your points, and it goes throughout the whole year. Highest in points essentially wins the league. So this week I am taking, for my 5-driver lineup for Richmond, I'm taking Truex, Hamlin, Byron, Harvick, and Bell as my 5-driver lineup. Who are you taking for your 5-driver lineup?
I am literally taking the same thing. There is no difference at all.
Wow.
That's
pretty
a
wild.
thing.
That's pretty wild. So like two great minds think alike, right? It's like we watch
like
or
that,
something, right? It's like we pay attention. And then for matchups, I mean, these are kind of splitting hairs here. We got a lot of really competitive matchups here. So first matchup is Truex and Hamlin going head to head, and I picked Truex in this one. Which one did you pick?
Yeah, I got Hamlin on this one, just purely because I think that Hamlin's going to win this race, and I think that Truex is still in his slump. He might be out of his prime. I don't know, but I just think that with the hype that Hamlin has, also with his home track, I think he's going to get this one done.
Yeah, I mean that's splitting hairs, and I like the points you bring.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Right.
Yeah. That was such a hard matchup. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah.
Because it's the same team that is so strong. Well, I know why they did it. It's to cause conflict.
Yeah,
but whatever.
It's just to
I'm going
hard.
Hamlin.
Yeah, it's kind of like the 8-9 matchup in a March Madness bracket. It's hard to pick,
Yeah.
And then the next one is Kevin Harvick and Brad Keselowski. I just mentioned both of these two drivers as potential dark horses for this race. I took Harvick over Keselowski, and it's just because I just there's something about Harvick this year. I just feel like his results are there. He's up in the points. He's just this close to finally breaking through and winning one of these. So that's kind of why I went with Harvick.
Yeah, I took Keselowski, and there's no real reason why I chose Keselowski. I think Ford's just going to have a hard weekend. Again, I don't think that any of these Ford teams have setups down. I know I chose my dark horse as Chase Briscoe, but it's a dark horse for a reason, right? So I chose Keselowski because I'd love to see him get a really good finish with his new team that he's building. I just think that I chose him for other reasons. I don't know who's gonna win this at all. I have no clue. You can look at the stats, but it doesn't matter because Stewart Haas is in a slump and Keselowski is still building his team. So again, great matchup to have here, splitting the hairs on who's gonna be, battling for 28th. But I just chose Keselowski. I'd rather see him get a better finish, honestly.
Right. And then we go from two really good matchups to one that I think is just a landslide. This is bad. We got Christopher Bell versus Logano. I mean, you have to be just ridiculous.
Easy.
And barring an incident by Bell, this should be a walk away, easy matchup dub for Christopher Bell. I picked him to win the race. Yeah. He's in JGR Toyota equipment, who's going to run up front all day. Unless he has just some catastrophe happen mid-race, there's just no way you can take Logano here, right?
Yeah, no, there's no way. Unless, Team Penske has upgraded their dump trucks to McLarens, there's just no way. There's no way.
There's still a dump truck factory over there.
It's still a dump truck factory.
And then the final one. This is another one that's kind of splitting hairs. Maybe not as close as the other two prior, but this one between Byron and Chastain. I took Byron just because I've got him in my fantasy lineup, and I think he's gonna run top 5, no problem here. He'll probably be the most contention to those JGR Toyotas in this race. Yeah. So I took him over Chastain, but then again, Chastain's right up there in points. He's been consistent all year, and you can't really not vote for him. But if I'm splitting hairs, I'm going to take Byron just because I think he's going to be a contender in this outcome.
Yeah, I agree. I think I chose Byron as well. With his third place run last year and his setup and mainly his momentum that he has going right now, there's no reason to think that he's going to finish inside of the top 10 again. The one car last year at this race, he did a great job. He got in a dust-up with Ryan Blaney, and that kind of just took over his race. I mean, when that happened, it was done. And he was fast, but I just think the 24 is faster, and especially that Hendrick camp this year is just they're a force to be reckoned with. The Hendrick cars right now is definitely the 4 best cars in NASCAR.
Oh yeah.
At the moment, and so I just think that the 24 over a 1 is, in my opinion, a no-brainer. I don't think the 1 car and Trackhouse is there yet to compete with Hendrick like what they were last year. But yeah, 24 car.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of been the theme of the whole year. You got Hendrick kind of up here, and then you got like Trackhouse, Gibbs, and like 2311 right about here. It's just all the rest of them are kind of battling for that second best team spot right now. And then you've got obviously all the Fords are just buried in the depths of life right now. Just no speed, no success. Dump trucks. It could be a plethora of things. I don't think it's drivers. I think it's just Ford. I mean, are just wrong engineers. I don't know what's going on over there at the Ford camp, but they've got to find some speed and they got to find it fast, or this season's going to get away from them real quick. So, that's pretty much it for the Fantasy Live. If you guys want to leave a comment on here, giving us maybe some of your thoughts on the Fantasy Live, or maybe your thoughts or picks for the races, that'd be kind of cool as well, so we can interact with that. And with that being said, our favorite segment, nobody was able to guess it again last week. We're not getting really much interaction on this, but we love this segment. It's our favorite one of the week. Every Tuesday we're tuned in to try and find out what our next radioactive of the week quote will be. So this week we picked one. The quote, and I quote, is, "What the blank you want me to do? I'm going as fast as I blank and can." If you can guess the driver that said this quote in the comment section, or in our poll that I put at the end of this podcast, you will get a shout out at the very beginning of next Thursday's podcast. And I mean, big kudos for keeping up and watching the radioactive segments, because they're very entertaining.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I guess we'll get into a channel update. So, big news coming out of our channel and our broadcasting entity, as we have an opportunity to be broadcasting some iRacing races. So if you're interested in iRacing or sim racing, we are going to become broadcasters for a league on iRacing, and we are super, super excited about it. We're trying to work out all the rest of the details and get a concrete schedule out for you, but we'll be posting content on our channel. And so if you are interested in iRacing or sim racing, just make sure to subscribe, turn on your notifications, and stay up to date on the channel. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, so with this broadcasting deal, we plan, or hopefully plan, to do some Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, and Friday night, depending on some schedules, and when we start in hopefully 2.5 weeks. So you guys are going to be seeing a lot of cool iRacing content come through this channel. You guys are going to be seeing a lot of cool highlight videos from these races that we broadcast. We are going to be doing some really cool things with these broadcasts as well. Not only highlight videos, we're planning on doing some radioactives with these drivers. We plan on possibly bringing some drivers into our podcast to get some, third opinions, and doing some really cool interactive things there. So within the next couple of weeks, you guys might see some videos popping up, or live videos popping up, not regarding our podcast. Don't worry. This is just something to grow our channel. We're really excited to do it, and we're hoping just to bring the best content to you guys. And this is a way that we saw could not only fulfill some needs from this league that we're going to be broadcasting, but fulfill the wants that Jay and I have in wanting to broadcast some races and call out races, and just mainly be goofy and fun on doing these things. You guys might see a different side of us, which is really cool as well. And so I highly suggest you guys tune into that. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be great racing. It'll be streamed live right here to this channel. And so you guys will not miss a thing if you hit that subscribe button. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and follow our journey as we branch off into iRacing.
Right. And with that being said, our podcast is not going anywhere. You're still going to get a weekly podcast from us, and potentially maybe even a second podcast. Like Tom said, we're trying to bring these drivers in and kind of introduce them to the world, get them their platforms established and shown to you guys. These leagues have some very talented drivers, and we really want to showcase that. And we're super excited. Our podcast schedule may change here in the future, according to the days that we have broadcasts going on, but this whole podcast is not going anywhere. We're going to keep it coming. We're going to keep it coming actively. Our daily uploads, our clips, and our shorts are going to keep coming out on a consistent basis. So we're really excited. We're really excited to grow this channel. So like Tom said, make sure you like, comment, subscribe on all of our content. Make sure you turn on the notifications to stay up to date with all future news. And also, we created a Twitter account, DegaBoys1 on Twitter. Come follow us. We're going to be posting a lot of live updates and stuff there as well. Also on our community page on our YouTube channel, we'll be posting live updates. Any news or anything changes, we'll let you know there on both platforms. And if you guys want to become a member of the channel and support us even at a higher level, we've also created a Patreon. It's patreon.com/Degaboys. Come leave a donation and join our channel. We got some great benefits to go through from rookie to veteran to legend tier. And we'd love to see you guys come and interact with us. And you guys will get a more behind the look scene of what goes on with the channel on a weekly basis and what we've been working on. And we just really want to see this thing grow. We really like the interaction that we're getting so far. Our content is really being viewed upon quite at a high rate. So seems like you guys are enjoying it too. And we got lots more coming, more ideas, more fresh takes. Just a bunch more on the way. So just make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications for more. And with that being said, my name is Jay.
And I'm Tom.
And this has been episode 6 of the Full Send Half Mast podcast. We will be back on Monday for race reviews on every race that happened this weekend, from Australia to Texas to Richmond. I hope you guys enjoy the races this weekend. And we'll be back. We'll be back to give you our takes on everything that happens this weekend. So that being said, we are the Dega Boys. This has been the Full Send Half Mast podcast, episode 6, and we are signing off. Thank you so much.